Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to one of our Lunch and Learn series. This one's on closing the gap and testing. So how can we provide testing as a service with HSO? So I'll pass over to my colleague Sean Platt, who's the Head of Managed Services Pre-Sales Delivery, who will take us through this deck. As I say, anybody who's got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll close the recording at the end. We will also have a chance for verbal questions if you wish. So over to Sean.
Thanks, Chris. Good afternoon, everybody. As Chris said, I'm Sean. I've worked in technology now for over 26 years, 8 and 9 of those now with HSO, and I started out in IT management. On the end user side, so I've seen firsthand how projects feel once consultants have packed up and gone home. I help organisations transition from projects into live support, and I've seen how testing gaps can cause issues even after a successful go live. So I'm genuinely passionate about proactive quality, not just fixing what's broken, but building confidence before things ever reach production. Outside of work, I'm a little bit of a geek. I like comics, old books, sci-fi and watches. Been married for 21 years and have a son that's just gone off to university. So I fill my time now preparing thought-provoking presentations on automated testing. You're all very welcome. So today I wanted to challenge how we all think about testing, because every hour spent manually testing with super users is an investment. And if we can turn that investment into something lasting, we're not just by project quality, but we're trying to build long-term success. I'm also supported by obviously Chris and Jasper, and some of my HSO global colleagues are online as well to help answer any technical questions if there are any at the end of the session. So with that said, let's explore why testing is a hidden cost and how a proactive approach delivers real business value. Let's paint a picture for a moment if we can. Imagine you're part of a large organisation, many of you are, hundreds of employees, operations spanning different countries, and a big ambition to bring all of your core business functions together on one unified platform. Now think back to how these projects often start. We all have experience doing this. You bring in maybe a test manager, we pull together a group of business users, maybe we borrow them from their day jobs, and we hope that with enough planning, you'll keep everything under control. But as project grows, so does the complexity. And suddenly we're dealing with different time zones, a web of integrations and requirements that seem to change every week. The test manager is juggling a mountain of spreadsheets, chasing updates and trying to keep the scope from ballooning. Despite everyone's best intentions, things start to slip. Testing takes longer than planned. Key users are stretched thin, and before you know it, deadlines are missed and costs start to creep up. People are working overtime, frustration in the system builds, and the leadership team starts to wonder, isn't there a smarter way to do this? This isn't just a hypothetical situation, it's a real scenario that I'm sure everyone has seen time and time again. And it's exactly why we're here today, to talk about how a different approach to testing can break the cycle and set your projects and your people up for success. We all know every company, whether they realise it or not, has to manage testing when they release software. The question isn't whether you do testing, it's how you go about it. Many organisations still rely on internal teams to do manual testing, pulling people away from their day jobs and slowing down progress. The approach not only is time consuming, but it also means that your best people are focused on finding bugs instead of driving strategy and innovation or getting new products to market. There's a better way. By embracing automated testing, you can ensure your business processes are thoroughly tested across all of your applications, integrations and customizations without tying up in valuable internal resources. Automation means your teams can focus on what really matters effectively, delivering value, innovating and moving the business forward. While testing happens in the background consistently and reliably, ultimately it's about working smarter, not harder, and making sure that your investment in technology delivers the results that you expect. Let's explore, hopefully in a fun but reflective way, how the traditional approach works. This approach is where we use mostly internal resources to test their own areas, to test their own processes. We may have a test manager in place, or we might be relying on a capable PM to do both roles, but ultimately our approach is that of manual testing. This particular project we're going to explore was managed really well. It went live on time. It was within budget. Everyone was handing out high fives and congratulating each other as we went live with it. Unfortunately, within the first week, we started to find a few bugs reported, and before the month was out, we experienced our first outage. This annoys the business. The stakeholders were now looking at a loss of revenue, and the user base starts to get frustrated. And it's not unusual to hear phrases that dim our enthusiasm. The last system didn't go down. Can I go back to using Excel? We start to see the perception of a wonderful project, a great delivery slip. Users are looking for reasons to find faults, and overall satisfaction starts to drop. Unfortunately, it's not over. We actually need to bring back some project resources, call in the help of additional experts to help us identify the fix. That costs us more money, more loss of revenue, but all is not lost. The workaround to get us back up and running again is identified, it's tested manually, but it works. System's back online. Again, unfortunately, those of us that work in technology know that it doesn't end there. The business and the IT team need to know what went wrong so we can stop it happening again. We need to spend more money, more energy, and more of that hard-earned revenue to understand what happened so we can stop it happening again. This needs more downtime to implement an improvement, more loss of revenue or added spend. In those first few weeks and months of a solution going live, if we've cut corners on testing, they can realistically look like this journey. And what's worse is that all the investment we've made into testing has been wasted. Documentation is already out of date. Users have gone back to their day jobs. They're busy people. Let's explore a new way. In our new model, we actually start talking about test automation really early, before go live. In fact, it was being planned at kickoff. That meant that many more issues were identified before go live. Fixes were made before go live, where it's cheap to fix issues and downtime doesn't impact the business directly. To make sure that we set the right examples with users at go live. The bugs being found in development, completely normal, we all understand that, but those bugs were not seen by the user base. The users haven't seen things go wrong or had their perceptions tarnished. Then we go live. We've shifted the pain left. We tested early, we tested often, with a framework and structure that's befitting the size of the undertaking that we're looking at. We go live on time and to budget again, but the major difference, much less downtime post go live. Fewer incidents reported by the user base, better ROI, better return on investment. We're not losing revenue because of downtime or paying users overtime. In fact, really, we've done more with the testing investment, and this means we have collateral. We have test scripts. We've got something that we can use in the BAU environment. We can take insights from automated testing, from the automated testing we do after go live. We can look at performance testing and functional testing, regression testing ahead of one version updates. All those insights can feed into our decision making and ongoing road mapping. This all results in a higher ROI than we could have achieved with manual testing. Manual testing can never cover every scenario. There's always human error involved. Differences in process and understanding, differences in perceived thresholds. What's good for some people is not good for others. Gaps when two teams or two processes are joined together. This results in issues and possibly downtime post go live. More than half of all organisations will have their bottom line impacted if an outage occurs over 1 hour. Up to 1 hour, we can reprioritise our days, we can do something else on the to-do list, but after an hour, things start to get harder. Orders are being backed up, we're moving to manual workarounds, which have to be then undone afterwards. All of this impacts the bottom line. It has an impact on our user base. Teams are asked to test further fixes. We're paying for overtime and we need to provide those testers with IT support as well. It's a burden on resources, on budgets, on perception and on satisfaction. But with automated testing, we get real tangible benefits. Firstly, by embedding automated testing, you're setting yourself up for a structured, repeatable approach that delivers proven results on a proven return on investment. Industry data shows that structured test automation can deliver over 200% ROI in 3 years. One of the biggest wins is freeing up your key users. Instead of burdening your business and your business teams with endless rounds of manual testing, you let automation handle the repetitive, time-consuming checks. It means that your people can focus on what they do best, driving your business forward, innovating and supporting customers. You also get end-to-end coverage. Automated testing doesn't just check isolated functions, it validates entire business processes, including integrations, ISVs, third-party solutions and customizations. So there's fewer gaps, fewer surprises, and a much lower risk of issues slipping through into production. And speed. With testing as a service, you can deliver changes to your systems faster and with much more confidence. More issues are caught and solved way before go live, so you're not firefighting after the fact. This means that happier users, a better perception of IT, and ultimately a better return on your technology investment. And finally, you're building a foundation for continual improvement. Automated tests can be reused and adapted as your business evolves, supporting new features, updates, and regulatory changes without starting from scratch each time. So lower business capacity needed, faster time to market, end-to-end coverage, happier users, ongoing. It's about working smarter, not harder, a phrase we've all heard before. It's about making sure your investment in testing keeps delivering long after the initial project is done. There's quite a lot of interesting stats on this page. I'm not going to go into them in any detail. I'll let you scan those for yourself and encourage you to do your own research after this session. But this is where the ROI comes in. These are the areas you should focus on when selling this internally to your stakeholders or to your board. What these numbers really highlight is something many organisations overlook. You are already paying for testing. Whether you see it clearly on your budget sheet or not, testing costs are often hidden. They're spread over time, it's lost productivity, it's delays, and the time your best people spend firefighting issues that could have been prevented. Bugs cost much more to fix post go live than if they were found earlier. In fact, the data shows that manual testing can consume significant portions of your IT budget. The real question isn't should we invest in testing, it's how we can make the investment work harder for us. Imagine if you applied the same rigor and governance to testing as you do to any other business cost. By acknowledging the true cost of testing and shifting to a more structured, automated approach, you can turn what's currently a sunk cost into an investment that continues to pay you back. Let us help you make that shift. Let's turn testing from a hidden drain on resources into a strategic asset that delivers value year after year. The examples I've given so far are focused on new projects, and many of you were already past that stage. And from the discussions I've had already, the misconception is that if you started your project with manual or ad hoc testing, it's too late to change, or that investing now in automation won't pay off. But the reality is business systems are never static. After go live, you're constantly making investments, whether that's in deploying new solutions, rolling out one version updates 4 times a year, handling C-wave releases twice a year, or introducing new features and fixes to keep up with your business and your regulatory demands. Every single time you do this, if you're relying on manual testing, you're effectively starting from scratch. Scripts aren't maintained, knowledge is lost as people move on, and testing is often done in silos, meaning only part of the processes are checked. And again, human error creeps in. What's the result? Gaps, faults, and missed opportunities to catch issues before they impact your users or your bottom line. Remember, every update is a new opportunity to do things better, The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is today. When we talk about automation and testing as a service, HSO and Microsoft immediately now point to LeapWork as our chosen partner, and for good reason. Firstly, they're not just a product or a tool or a vendor. LeapWork works directly with us as part of the delivery model. The product is licensed from LeapWork, but they also collaborate closely with us during implementation and support us to ensure it fits your specific testing needs. Microsoft themselves recommend LeapWork for D365 and Power Platform. In our experience, it's the best product on the market for automating business process testing in those environments. One of the biggest advantages is how accessible it is. LeapWork doesn't require deep technical skills to use. It enables both businesses and technical users to create automated test flows without code, which removes the traditional bottleneck of relying on scarce automation engineers. That flexibility helps in two major ways. It speeds up the value by allowing project teams to test faster and more reliably, and it reduces the cost and complexity of testing by eliminating repetitive manual test cycles. The platform is also easy to scale and maintain, which is critical in a dynamics landscape that evolves continuously. You're not building up testing debt or creating fragile automation that breaks every time a field's moved. Ultimately, it means you can reduce your risk, you can maintain quality, and you can free up internal resources to focus on innovation rather than firefighting defects. Our approach with LeapWork is built around three core strengths that are especially important in a D365 and an ERP environment. First, it's fully visual. Traditional testing tools tend to rely on code, which limits who can actually contribute. But with LeapWork, both users, business users, and functional consultants can create and maintain automated tests themselves. This matters because testing is rarely just the job of developers. Testing is rarely the job of developers. It involves testers, it involves analysts and business stakeholders, many of whom don't write code, they don't know how to. LeapWork removes that barrier, which means faster ramp up, broader adoption, and much fewer delays. Secondly, LeapWork is proven in large-scale ERP programs. It's a strong track record of supporting complex rollouts, particularly in enterprise environments where testing spans multiple systems. Microsoft's formally recommended LeapWork for use with D365 and the Power Platform. And the two companies have invested heavily in developing mature, fit-for-purpose automation for these platforms. Makes LeapWork a safe, strategic choice for long-term success. And finally, LeapWork enables true end-to-end testing across your connected systems. D365 is rarely used in isolation. It often relies on integrations, on ISVs and third-party solutions to deliver the full process. And LeapWork is platform agnostic, so you can build automation that follows the actual user journey across systems rather than testing each application in isolation. How does it work in practice? How does testing as a service work in practice? Well, it starts with identifying your strategy, your critical processes. You pinpoint your high risk, high value business processes and integrations. It then needs expertise to build and maintain automated test scripts. Great news, HSO have developed over 500 pre-built test scenarios, out-of-the-box solutions for common workflows that takes minimal effort to implement. This first phase is about avoiding testing, staying inconsistent and reactive. Once your strategy is in place, you can increase your test capacity. You develop reusable automated tests for end-to-end scenarios. We can then think about scheduling in BAU, but also a task to consider as part of any upcoming project. Tests should run regularly ahead of updates and after changes, and of course on demand. Importantly, as part of our automation phase, we can build in on ongoing solution improvement. If a test fails, how do we deal with it? The HSO model is primed for an automated fix. A failure occurs, it goes straight into the support teams. The issue is fixed and the tests are automatically rerun. We get immediate feedback and then we can report on the successes to our business. Automated testing doesn't replace your UAT responsibility for taking updates or releasing changes, but we do relieve your team from operational and repeatable testing effort, making your testing more structured, more scalable, and more cost effective. At the top of this session, I started with a story. That story was TMF Group. It was a real world example. Had they pushed ahead with manual testing, it would have cost them 2 million a year in testing costs. Some of that hidden and some of that visible. That doesn't include the sunk costs in addressing the issues that were missed post go live. By choosing test automation, they reduced manual testing time by 80%. Furthermore, they increased the test coverage by 400%. Automation allowed them to test 4 entities in the same time it took them to test 1. Sonova is another success story. They'd established a rollout in Germany and built a manual regression test regime. That takes the application managers together with the key users 10 days to test. They knew this wasn't sustainable in terms of scale, and as they bring more countries live on the systems. We help them automate their regression testing on F&O and on CE, and they're now able to run their regression tests for an entity inside 4 hours. The reduction in manual testing time is 90%, and they increased their test coverage by 800% from 1 entity to 8 entities across EMEA and the US. With a whirlwind tour of testing as a service, we just quickly recap what we've covered. We've seen that testing isn't optional. It's happening in every organisation, and whether it's managed well or not. The real difference is whether you're treating it as a hidden cost or a strategic investment that pays you back. We've talked about the risks and inefficiencies of manual and ad hoc testing, and how testing as a service and automation can deliver immediate and ongoing value. Frees up your people, reduces downtime, and supports your business as it grows and changes. Every update, every new feature, every compliance requirement is a new investment in your systems. The question is, do you want to keep paying for testing the old way, or do you want to start with getting a return on that investment? So where do we go from here? If anything resonated with you today, if you recognise some of these challenges, which I'm sure you do in your own organisation, then let's have a conversation. We can help you build a business case, we can run a tailored demo, or we can simply explore what a smarter approach to testing could look like for you. Let's all together turn testing from a hidden cost into a competitive advantage. We try and do this together, and we'll all be successful.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Sean. If we, before we go to questions, if we just pop to the next slide and tell you about what's coming next, we will close the recording. So if anyone wants to open and actually ask questions verbally, they're more than welcome. But the next Lunch and Learn sessions will both be run by Tasif, CTO here at HSO, and they're going to be about AI, making it more real. We've all heard a lot about AI recently, but let's see some real examples that HSO have built. And how you can get that ready yourself. So I'll be infusing AI into Microsoft business applications. That's the full stack of them. And then the second one will be very soon after, how do I actually do that? And how do I go from where we are to an AI ready platform? And if we just move on to our closing, we can have a look at Sean's contact details. So if you want to reach out to Sean about any of this testing, please feel free. Myself, Debbie, Sean, we're all here. And otherwise, before questions, I'd just like to thank you all for coming, and thank you for attending, and please come on to the next one, and please do fill out the feedback form which we posted in the chat there.